My ex walked in with her rich boyfriend, looked me in the eye. You shouldn't be here. I slipped her a note and smiled. You're right. I wasn't worthy. But does he know what you did? Take a seat because this is not the typical heartbreak story. It begins in the middle of someone else's party and ends with me rewriting everything I thought about her. Darla Olson, my ex, was wearing silver heels that echoed like punctuation marks on the marble floor. The same laugh, the same sly smile, but with different eyes, colder or perhaps just more satisfied. And him, a guy with hair that looked moisturized. I do not know. The kind of man who puts cologne behind his knees. He was standing behind her like an accessory, holding a glass of wine that he had not even sipped from. I had not seen Darla since she told me I did not deserve her, that I was too expendable. And yes, I left in silence with the pieces of self-esteem that I had not dropped on the wax that day. I did not scream, nor did I ask her to stay, but I would be lying if I said I did not keep hearing that phrase on a loop every time I looked in the mirror. Anyway, that night at the reunion, I did not expect her to notice me. I was standing there, just holding a half-eaten shrimp puff pastry, and my name tag had peeled off and fallen into someone's wine. And then she walked directly towards me, not around me, directly towards me. She did not say hello. She did not ask how I was. She said this, "You are not supposed to be here." I blinked. It is a public reunion. She came closer. I confirmed my attendance thinking you would never show your face again. I could feel the heat rising up my neck. The same pathetic, sweaty anxiety I always got around her. I was about to mutter something silly like, "You look good." But then I remembered what I had in my pocket, the folded piece of hotel letterhead paper. I took it out, smoothed it on the table, and slid it under her glass without saying a word. There were only 2 sentences written on it. You were right. I did not deserve you. But he does not know what you did, right? Her face turned pale. She looked at me, then at her new boyfriend, and back at the note as if it were a time bomb. What did she think I knew? Why was she panicking? It was then that I realized I had not come here to get her back. I came to find out what she had been hiding when she left, and I was closer than ever. The glass did not break, but the silence around her did. Darla's fingers trembled as she lifted the wine glass, only to almost tip it over trying to hide the note underneath, but it was already too late. Her boyfriend, I think his name was Ty Lotion, a rich and symmetrical name, reached over with curious eyes and picked it up before she could stop him. I did not move. It was not necessary. I had already seen her panic and that was enough, but I did not expect him to read it out loud. You were right. I did not deserve you. But he does not know what you did, right? He read it twice slowly, as if trying to decipher something more than words. Then he looked at her. He really looked at her. What does this mean? He asked. And his voice was tense, measured, like a guy used to controlling conversations who suddenly finds himself off script. Darla did not answer. Her eyes darted around the room as if looking for a fire exit or an alternate timeline. For a second, I almost felt bad. Almost. Instead, I took a sip of a flat soda and watched her fall apart. I knew I did not have much time. She was too good at turning the narrative around, too skilled with lies that sounded like confessions. But in that moment, in that 5-second pause, I had an advantage I never had when we were together, because she did not know how much I knew, and not knowing made her nervous. Tyle, or whatever his perfect name was, stepped aside with the note still in his hand. Darla, we are not leaving until you tell me what he is talking about. He said that, and it made her freeze. And that silence was new. The Darla I knew always had a ready answer, a way to turn the tables and make me feel crazy for asking obvious questions. But now she just stood there in silence, not out of guilt. She was never the guilty type, but because she did not know which lie to start with. I could have left right then and let the chaos unfold, but I did not. I stepped closer and said, "You told me I was boring, that I did not make you feel alive, but you omitted the part where you were already sending messages to him. The part where you begged your professor to write you a fake reference to get out of our city. Shall I continue?" Her face turned white as a ghost, and Tyrell, or maybe now just Ty, did not say a word. He just looked at her, as if she were a stranger. And for the first time in a long time, I did not feel like the most insignificant person in the room. I had not come to the reunion to ruin her life. That is the part no one believes when I tell this story, but it is true. I did not have a plan or a dramatic speech rehearsed in front of the mirror. I did not bring the note thinking he would read it out loud in front of the guy she replaced me with. I wrote it in the hotel an hour before, more out of spite than strategy. I folded it twice and put it in my pocket without even knowing if I would see her up close. And yet, here we were, me standing in my ill-fitting sports jacket from a thrift store and her, suddenly exposed in the one place she had come to be adored. Because that is what this reunion was for Darla, a grand stage. She had always told me that college was the only place where she had felt like royalty. Everyone knew me there, she said once, sipping her organic smoothie, like a queen reflecting on her golden reign. They still talk about me, I guarantee it. And maybe they did, but they were not talking about her now, not in the way she wanted. I could feel the air in the room change. We were not the center of attention. Not yet, but the whispers had begun. A couple near the piano stopped laughing mid-laugh. A woman who used to be in Darla's dorm looked over at us, and then leaned towards her husband. Something was falling apart. And it was not because of anything I had said, it was because she was not denying it. Not a word. Tyrell still held the note. I saw his fingers flex on the paper, as if debating whether to crumple it or save it as evidence. Is this true? He finally asked again. His tone flatter now, not angry, but cold. She opened her mouth and then closed it. That silence was louder than a confession. It was then that a voice behind me said, "Wait, Darla Olson." I turned around, and a woman in a rust-colored dress was looking at us with wide eyes. "You are the one who got Mr. Viden fired, right?" It seemed like the whole room had stopped breathing. Darla's eyes widened like saucers for a fraction of a second, and then narrowed quickly. "Excuse me," she snapped. "I do not know who you are, but no." "Oh, it is you," the woman said, taking a step forward. "I was a freshman when it happened. You accused him of harassing you, right? But he did not end up in the hospital." My stomach turned. What? That was not the version I knew. That was not what she had told me. I had heard stories, sure, vague mentions of some inappropriate professor and how she had taken care of it. But a hospital. And suddenly all I could do was stare at Darla and wonder what part of my entire relationship had been a carefully constructed lie. You could hear it in the way the woman said it. "Are you her? You did not know about it, or you heard the rumors?" "No." She said it like someone naming the villain in a true crime documentary. Darla stood frozen without the feigned, nervous indignation she used to show when she was caught. This time there were no theatrical sighs or forced tears, just pure, plain panic. She took a small step back, brushing against Terrell's arm, but he did not move. He kept looking at her, as if she were a shape he could no longer quite recognize. I felt glued to the spot. I had not even heard the full story yet, but something in the woman's tone, its sharpness, the way she said, "Got him fired," as if it were code for something darker, let me know this was not going to end with a simple apology. He was not harassing her, the woman continued. He was her mentor. I was in the creative writing club. She would arrive late, flirt with him in front of everyone, and one day he disappeared. The department said it was a personal leave. 2 weeks later, someone found him in his car with an empty bottle of sleeping pills. My breath caught in my throat. I looked at Darla. She was now looking at the floor as if maybe, if she did not look anyone in the eye, the moment would disappear. But it did not. The silence grew heavier. "He survived," the woman added, now more softly. "But he never came back. Everyone just forgot about it." I felt a chill all over my body. Darla had told me he had been inappropriate, that he had sent her late-night emails, that he had crossed boundaries, that she reported him and he left before things got worse. I believed her. I defended her when people said otherwise. I once called her brave for speaking up, but now the way she stood there, not denying a single word, the way she clasped her hands like someone about to burst, not cry, all painted a different picture. When I was not ready to admit I had missed it. "That is not how it happened," she finally said, but it sounded like even she did not believe it. Tyle did not speak. He simply handed the note back to her, as if it were radioactive. "I will be outside," he muttered and walked away. And just like that, the bright, polished life she had built, new boyfriend, perfect reputation, dry confidence, all began to crack. Not because I exposed her, but because she had built everything on a story that was never true, and I was just beginning to realize how much of my life she had built on the same lies. I left the ballroom without even realizing it. My legs moved on their own. The air inside had become too heavy. The stares, the half-heard whispers, the tense silence that always follows the unraveling of a carefully crafted lie. I ended up in the parking lot, standing under a crooked streetlight that flickered as if it could not decide whether to expose me or let me disappear. I leaned against my car, barely breathing. The taste in my mouth was bitter, not from the confrontation, but from knowing how deeply I had let myself be fooled. I remembered sitting with Darla once years ago on a cheap IKEA sofa, watching her cry over that professor. She said she felt violated, scared, and I held her as if she were broken glass, fragile and dangerous. I believed her, I defended her. I thought I was some kind of emotional anchor. It turns out I was just the one holding the umbrella while she set the fire. I heard her heels before I saw her. Always those damn heels. Sharp little reminders of how loud she could be when she wanted the world's attention. She stood there at the edge of the parking lot, not getting closer yet. "You did not have to do that," she finally said, her voice weak, but not broken or regretful, just controlled. "I did not do anything," I said. "You did this. You could have denied it. You could have explained it, but you froze. You always knew the truth would catch up with you. I just happened to be there when it did." She came closer with her arms crossed as a defense mechanism, as if she still thought she could regain control with her charm. "You do not understand," she said. "That woman is twisting it. There is a context. Things were more complicated than they seemed." But I had heard that line before. It was the same one she used when she left me, when she said I was a phase, when she claimed she needed something more, but never had the courage to say she had already found someone new. Was I complicated too? I asked. Or just convenient? That hurt her. She blinked only once, but it was enough to see the panic return. "You are not who I thought you were, Darla," I said. "But what is worse, I am not who I thought I was either. I thought I was just boring. It turns out I was blind." She did not speak after that. She just stood there under the flickering streetlight as I got into my car. For the first time, I did not leave wishing she would run after me. I did not want her to chase me. I wanted her to think about chasing me and realize I was already gone. I thought that night in the parking lot would be the last page of our story. I thought I would finally close the book on Darla and everything she had taken from me. But some chapters write themselves even after you think the ink has dried. It was 3 days later when I received the message, a hidden number with no name, just a text at 2:14 in the morning that said, "You should see this." Attached was a screenshot, a group chat of alumni from the reunion. Someone had posted a blurry photo of Darla and me under the streetlight. The caption read, "When lies finally meet consequences." There were over 100 replies. I read them one by one with cold fingers and a pounding heart. People were telling stories I had never heard. A former roommate said Darla spread a rumor that put another student on academic probation. A woman from her marketing class claimed Darla once faked an assault to get out of a final exam. And the worst, a discreet comment from someone who simply called themselves Sinin82. All it said was, "You can lie to the world for years, but some things do not stay buried." It was him. It had to be him. Mr. Benton, the professor, alive, still watching, still holding the truth like a stone in the palm of his hand. I stared at the screen for a long time. I should have felt vindicated, even satisfied. But I did not. I felt empty because I had spent years mourning a relationship that never really existed. I had built my pain around the idea that I was not enough for someone who, deep down, did not even exist in the way I believed. It was like realizing you had spent years crying over a ghost that someone else made up. But here is the part one did not see coming. The second message, same hidden number. This time no text, just a photo. A handwritten letter addressed to me. "Emery, if you are reading this, it means you know more than I ever wanted you to know. I did not want to be that person, but I was. I am sorry for what I did to you. I never told you the truth because I knew you would forgive me. That is what scared me the most." My hands were shaking as I read it over and over again. She had not said it. Someone else did, and whoever that person was, they were not finished with me yet. I did not sleep that night. I sat on the edge of my bed, holding my phone as if it might vibrate again, as if maybe the ghost behind the hidden number would decide to speak instead of haunt. I kept rereading the photo of the letter, the shaky handwriting, the way her name was never signed but somehow screamed in every sentence. But the more I read it, the more I felt that something did not fit. Darla was not the type to write apologies, not even theatrical ones. She did not reflect. She revised narratives. She created realities that made her seem like the misunderstood protagonist. But this letter was not an apology. It was a confession with no exit strategy. The line that struck me the most was not even the one about fear. It was the last one, half blurred, as if it had been written with a trembling hand. If this ever comes out, do not believe everything you hear about me, but believe enough. What did that mean? Was she even trying to do damage control, even in writing? Or was it a hidden warning disguised as guilt? I could not tell, but I knew someone else could. I drove to the outskirts of the city that morning to see the only person I had not spoken to in years, Claire, Darla's old roommate. The only person who had told me years ago that Darla was a little more calculating than she seemed. I ignored her then. I thought she was jealous or resentful or both, but now I was ready to listen. She opened the door as if she was expecting me. No surprise, no smile, just a tired nod and an "ah, you finally realized, huh?" We sat in her kitchen while her dog sniffed my shoes as if it remembered me, and then walked away unfazed. Claire poured coffee without asking and placed a folder in front of me. She gave me the letter, she said, for months ago. She told me not to open it unless you showed up at the reunion. My mouth went dry. She planned it. Claire nodded. She plans everything, Emery. You just never noticed. I opened the folder. Inside was another letter. Same handwriting, different tone. This one was not for me. It was for him. Tile, if you are reading this, it means I could not lie fast enough. Do not let the whispers change your mind. I just did what I had to do. I looked at Claire, and her expression was grave. She wrote letters to both of you, one for guilt, one for manipulation. She did not know who would survive the fallout, so she tried to maintain control in any way. For a moment, I could not even breathe, because that meant Darla knew this day would come. She was counting on it, and suddenly I was no longer the victim in a love story. I was just one more man in her contingency plan. For the first time in my life, I was not doubting myself, not because I had all the answers, but because I finally stopped looking for them in someone else's eyes. After reading both letters, mine and Tyrell's, I did not feel anger. I did not even feel betrayed. What I felt was something I had not felt since the day she told me I did not deserve her, clarity. Darla was not evil. She was not a monster, but she was someone who built her life around shaping the truth to suit her survival. And I was just collateral damage, a stand-in, a pair of loyal hands that she thought would never let her go, but I did. That day, sitting in Claire's kitchen, I realized that the best revenge was not exposing her. It was not seeing her panic under flickering lights or lose control in front of her perfect boyfriend. The best revenge was not needing any of that anymore. I folded both letters, handed them back to Claire and said, I do not need them. She smiled a little. Are you sure? I nodded. Let him decide what he wants to believe. That is not my problem anymore. I left that house not as a triumphant hero, but as someone finally free. For months, maybe years, I thought closure would come with some dramatic truth bomb or public humiliation. But closure came silently. It came when I stopped thinking her version of me was the truth. And now I have moved to a new city, a different job, a smaller place, but quiet. I still overthink things. I still apologize too often, but I do not wait for someone to tell me how much I am worth. I decide that for myself now. It is funny how the woman who once told me I was too safe ended up burning all the bridges behind her, while I was the one who finally moved on without needing to burn anything at all. Thank you for watching Reddit Confessions. If you have ever experienced a moment when the truth finally set you free, even if it came too late, we would love to hear it. Comment below what a shocking historical event is that changed your way of seeing the world. And do not forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs to hear it.